really pleased and honored to be here to, I guess, MC again the award ceremony. It's really a special part of our annual conference each year. It really is the highlight because we could really see what really good looks like. And tonight we're going to see many, many examples of not just good, but absolutely great. I'm going to be introducing 4 awards throughout the course of the evening. And the first award is called the Primary Care Community Leadership Award. This award is presented to an outstanding individual who has demonstrated remarkable leadership to ensure that primary care is foundational to community or state healthcare reform efforts. So to bring up and recognize tonight's honoree, I'm going to bring up first Chris Kohler to do that, somebody who is no stranger to community and state healthcare reform efforts. Chris is from the Milbank Memorial Fund, and you heard him talk earlier today. So Chris, please welcome to the stage.
This is pretty cool. I get walk-on music. I never get to have that. So congratulations to all our award winners. Thanks to the PCC and their process, because it kind of takes the suspense out of it. You know the names. There's like no envelopes to get messed up or anything like that. Thank you to the sponsors. Thank you to the board for the work that you do, the staff, and thanks to all of you guys for coming. I'm not going to read our award winner to take the suspense out of it for primary care community leadership is Margaret Flinter. You all know that. It's in the program. I'm not, hold your applause, please, because we'll get there. I'm not going to go through Margaret's attributes, but I encourage you to read the bio, which is really impressive at some point. But otherwise, I would just repeat what was in there. It's a very nice summary. What I do want to do is parse the notion in the award itself and the title. You think of community, or you should think of community at both geographically at the local, the state, and the national level, and then across different communities, professional communities. And you think of leadership in terms of being anchored in a set of values that you're willing to act on. You're willing to kind of call BS when you have to public officials and things like that, but you're also willing to kind of sweat the details in terms of working it through. And I gotta say, PCC Award Committee, you guys nailed it with Margaret, because first of all, Margaret, I want to hear the story sometime about how CHC Inc. was able to copyright CHC from all the other community health centers that are out there. Knowing you and Mark Maselli, I would imagine there's a tale with that. But also, I think I've had the privilege of working with Margaret in a number of different settings, and among the many things I appreciate about her is her willingness to both call BS when she has to, but also kind of grind through. I think particularly when you work in community health centers, it's a little bit easy to sort of play the victim, be the champion for the people that you serve, and walk around with a chip on your shoulder. It's a lot harder to engage to try to make things better. And both CHC, if you think about how they have transformed primary care in Connecticut, and then Margaret with her work with, particularly within her professional field, it's really sort of, it's not enough to complain, it's not enough to be right, we have to work to make things different in a systematic way. And I particularly want to call out, if you're not enough of a glutton for punishment to work on care for underserved folks, you want to work on doing it as a nurse practitioner in a very hierarchical society. And then you want to get into training, and then you want to do training in community-based settings. So what that says to me is that Margaret has not only the leadership capacities, but a tremendous amount of energy to do this work for what she believes in and the willingness to work through it. Where I want to close with, and I think Margaret can see where this comes from, but I want to close with some comments that I asked a mutual friend of ours who's worked with and for Margaret at various times in their career, to sort of speak from her own experience. And she said, "I've never met a more dedicated, passionate, and persistent healthcare professional. Margaret has an endless appetite to pursue excellence in the mission of bringing the finest primary care, has to offer to everyone who needs it. She does so with a keen understanding of the power of innovation, of building community and transforming lives. She's never stopped learning along the way. She's truly one of the best and brightest minds in primary care today. Oh, and I could talk about the time we were kicked out of a HRSA meeting for talking in the back of the room, but that's a story for another day. So ladies and gentlemen, I give you Margaret Flinter.
Well, thank you, Chris. I just told Chris he can go. He's trying to catch a train or a plane. Doesn't have to stick around for the formalities. I really like the, sweat the details, call the BS. Another thing we say regularly and often in my organization when the going is tough is we'll outlive them, outlast them, or we'll outlaugh them in order to get to where we're trying to go. So thank you. I have such respect for so many people in this room, and thank you so much for having me. Thank you for all that you do, Chris, for all that you have done, and so many other people. And I think one of the many recipes for keeping primary care alive and invigorated at the individual level is to find your people, find your tribe, find it locally within your practice, but also find it nationally. It makes our lives so much richer. And for all of you who understand that primary care is there at the first breath in life and is there at the last breath in life and everything that happens in between, I salute you for making that happen. You know, I have a lot of people in my Hall of Heroes, some of you in this room, some who are departed now, like Dr. Jack Geiger, Donna Deers, Loretta Ford, Fitzhugh Mullen, who I miss very much, and I know many of you knew him as well. But I really want to focus on the living, and I want to give a special shout out to my co-partner of 43 years in leading the Community Health Center, Mark Maselli, a tremendous person who you should have here as a speaker sometime. Started our organization as a free clinic in a second floor walk-up that was shut down by the local medical community by calling the public health department for the state and having them come down and find out the hallways were a half-inch too narrow. So they shut it down, but that was okay. It moved from the second floor to the first floor, moved up the street. I joined it in 1980 as a new nurse practitioner, as a National Health Service Corps scholar, found my people, and we really put our shoulders to the wheel and never looked up. I found that passion early on. It led me to become a researcher, to take on the challenges of training, as Chris had said, but to most of all, experiment, innovate, and continually build a system. It has been exciting. We've grown to the point where we have over 100 primary care providers, 200 behavioral health specialists. Yes, behavioral health is really foundational, as well as you might imagine the dentists and the community health workers. But we also have a dance hall because we believe you have to get out there and have a good time for the community, diaper banks, food pantries, all of the things that address the social determinants of health. I think primary care is in great shape. That probably makes you think that I am certifiably insane. I realize it is not evenly distributed when I say that, and the headlines certainly say it's in peril. Certainly the NASM report laid out both what the problems were and what some of the strategies were. But I'll leave you maybe with my rules for the future of where we need to go. One, primary care thrives where it's supported. And Mayor Ingraham, are you here still? Yeah, there you are. I loved having you here. I love mayors. When I bring the incoming class of postgrad nurse practitioner residents into the community health center every year, they have 2 days of meetings. Superintendent of school, Chamber of Commerce, and the mayor are 3 of the key people. Those people need to know who their people are, who their primary care providers are, and primary care providers need to know that that's a relationship with the mayor because that's how things get done in communities. So it thrives where it's supported internally and externally, it thrives where people have a team around them, where they're not left on their own, where they have people to support the infrastructure and the technology so that they can focus on what they do best. So this model of integrated behavioral health, of team-based care is really critical. And I think you can look to health centers for a lot of the innovation and learning and how to do that. The second thing I'd like to say we should look to health centers for is to become I don't think they are yet universally, the centers where the next generation is trained. In the same way that Veteran Affairs has it in their statute that their mission is to train the people who will care for veterans and care for the people of the country, I think community health centers have to be that system where people are trained to care for underserved and special populations, and where they're also trained to care for all the people of the United States. And I think we can do much more of that. Whatever system people practice in, I think they have to take the lessons that we're learning from population health, what we're learning from innovations in payment, learn from other health systems around the world that have really done this better than I, take the work of the NASM report and make it real here in the United States. We have to fight for payment reform. No one is going to make that easy. I so agree with what people said this afternoon. The other 95 out of $100, those people aren't giving up a dime of it without a struggle, and we're happy to participate in that. I also want to say that we have to respect and accept the reality of our team members, whatever their role, whether they're the highly compensated people or the lower compensated people, to not necessarily hold themselves to the standards that my generation had for how we worked and the number of hours that we worked. People do not want to work the way we did, and I can guarantee you no one's ever going to give me the work-life balance award up here, particularly my own family. But those days are over. People want and will demand and will not stay in a system that does not allow them to have the time they need to care for their families, and it behooves us to make sure we create systems that can support that. So keep the eye on the prize, keep building healthier communities. The reward comes to all of us in primary care at the level of individual patients as well as communities. Dr. Reed was here earlier today from NAC. He had visited us recently, and after he left, he put something on LinkedIn and mentioned Mark's name and mine. And within a day, I heard from a woman who's now an executive in a dental services company, reminding me I was her primary care provider when she was 5, that when her family had no money, had no car, had no insurance, they came to the community health center, and it changed her life. And I think everybody in this room has had that experience 1,000-fold if they've been engaged in primary care. So I salute all of you. Thank you so much for the honor of this award, and look forward to hearing from the rest of the honorees. Thank you.